Good evening, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to Tarrant County College for the board meeting. Before we start our board meeting, we're going to have a public hearing on the tax increase. Today is September 15th, 2022. I just have an opening statement that I have to read prior to our meeting. Trustee Shannon Wood is unable to join us this evening. However, the matters under consideration tonight, both at the public hearing on tax rate increase and at the regularly scheduled September board meeting, are critically important to the district. So Trustee Wood will be joining us virtually. Unfortunately, effective September 2021, Governor Abbott rescinded the emergency order, which previously allowed trustees to participate in these meetings remotely. Therefore, while Ms. Wood will be monitoring these proceedings virtually, her presence will not count toward our quorum, nor may she vote or speak on any of the agenda items before the board. We do look forward to seeing her next month at the next board meeting of the board. So we'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we'll start out with who's going to be speaking first? Okay, Miss Alanis. Thank you. If you don't mind announcing your name and your title, please, for those that are listening online. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Susan Alanis. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at the college. And Gina, I think we've got a slide to pull up. This is a public hearing as required by state law regarding the adoption of our tax rate for 2022. The next slide. And as we discussed in your August board meeting, we are recommending that we continue our current tax rate at 13.017 cents. Because of the bond program that was approved by voters in 2019, our commitment was to absorb the impact of that debt service into our existing tax rate of 13.01 cents, 17 cent. We are continuing this summer. We sold the next tranche of debt to further that program, and so this year's budget assumes also moving another penny over to the interest and sinking fund to service that debt. So you see the sum total of the two parts of the tax rate on your slide. Next slide. So what we've done so far is in August you approved a proposed tax rate and you adopted the 22-23 budget. On September 4th, we published a notice of this public meeting in the Star Telegram, which is required by law to occur 5 days before the vote on the adopted tax rate. In the language, we noted that because we were below the no new revenue operations and maintenance rate, we were required to publish that we were actually just raising more operations and maintenance revenue than last year. That was required language in the ad. Tonight we're having a public hearing, and at your regular meeting here in just a bit after the public hearing closes, then you'll be asked to consider the resolution related to the tax rate. Next slide. And here is that resolution. It not only establishes the tax rate, but it also identifies the existing tax freezes and exemptions that will continue into the future. Okay. And one thing I'll point out is I think I didn't provide good enough instructions out front, and so there was a little bit of confusion in signing up to speak, that some people signed up for the hearing, some people signed up what they thought was going to be the tax rate in the meeting. We're going to go ahead and call all of those names during the public hearing because it specifically relates to the tax rate, and so I think that serves the purpose that was intended. But Reg has those names for you.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Ms. Alanis. The first person, Denise Lynn. Ms. Lynn, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm here to speak about the tax increase, and personally I'm offended that you would even consider raising taxes right now. I feel like this is another example of government totally losing touch with the constituents. I'm a constituent, and I'm here to say now is not a time for tax increases, and I don't care what kind of building or planning you have in place. You're making a very, very bad decision. I go to the grocery store and I look at the groceries, and I know the tax rate the inflation rate is supposed to be up about 12%. But I'm a retired math teacher, and what I see, the inflation rate is up closer to 20 to 30%, and maybe even more than that on some items. There's just no way that now is a good time to be spending money for projects, and you need to do what we're doing. I'm spending less money. Whenever I go to, well, I'm not spending less, I'm trying to. I'm spending very, very carefully. Whenever I go to the store, whenever there's something that I need to purchase, instead of just buying my dozen eggs like I normally do, I look around and go, okay, do I really need to buy these items? Same thing with clothing, same thing with a car that I wanted to buy last May, and we went back and forth on the prices, the payments, the leases have gone really badly because of the inflation, and it's boiled down to I just bought my old car, and I'm going to be driving that. That seems to be the best way to handle a situation like this. We have inflation higher than I've ever seen it in my adult life. This is going as bad as the direction of the 1970s. And how many times have you heard about inflation being so high during the 1970s? We don't really know where this is going to end. I have a feeling it's not going to end well, and that's why I'm trying to spend as carefully as possible and save as much as possible, because I don't know what's coming. All I know is we're not building a new house. We're not taking on extra debt. We're not buying a new vehicle. We're spending very, very carefully because of what's happening in the world. And I know that you think it's okay to raise taxes right now, and I'm telling you, it's not okay. It's not okay for anybody in Tarrant County. You get $12 million extra dollars because our house values have increased. So I think that you should maybe consider working within that budget. I would like to get $12,000 extra dollars in my household budget right now to cover some of the higher expenses that we have out there. But no one's giving it to me. So I'm going to budget, tighten my belt, like we were taught how to do when we were growing up, and I suggest that you consider doing the same. I'm very disappointed with you considering a tax increase right now. Very, very bad call, folks.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Ms. Louise Young?
Thank you. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Denise just said very eloquently. I am also speaking out against the tax increase in behalf of myself, my husband, my neighbors, and my many friends who we've had discussions over this, and they're very upset. And they are opposed to it also. We are burdened too much already with the rising inflation, costs on food, utilities, gas for our cars, even our medications. It's very, very difficult. My husband and I are retired, and we're finding our income is fixed, and it's very, very difficult to maintain our lifestyle. The middle class is fast disappearing. Many people that we know can't afford to stay in their homes, but they're worried about, but can they afford to get into a new home? The interest rates are too high. It's just too much of a burden, and a lot of people are losing their middle class status, and those of my friends that aren't even in the middle class are now in poverty level, and they're struggling to just survive and to put any kind of food on the table. And then we're not talking even quality, or they're not even getting that much to eat for them and their kids. It's just very, very awful. And so we're, a lot of us in Tarrant County are really having a hard time finding to make ends meet. We're having to tighten our belts, but it's just getting very, very uncomfortable. And we only keep seeing things go up, and it's just getting worse and worse. We're trying to cut back on driving our cars, cut back on the groceries, and still it's very tight. So when there's a talk of this tax increase, and I'm thinking, okay, they're saying our homes are worth so much more money, and you've got more revenue from that, and yet now the homes are dropping in prices too. So it's like, is that even real? But at any rate, you do have more money at your disposal, and I just don't think that you're working in behalf of the residents and constituents here. It's not in their best interest for you to be raising taxes in such a very, very dark time. We are in a recession. It's very obvious, and whether someone says we are or not, we feel it. As residents, we feel it. And I've never felt it. I remember the 70s. I remember the gas lines and everything, and I haven't seen anything this bad since then, and I have to say what we're going through right now is worse than back then. It's appalling. And so this board needs to think about how a tax increase will hurt overburdened residents. It'll even force many of them out of their homes and their way of living. And it's like our way of living is going down, down, down. It's ruining their quality of life. And so I just firmly say no to any tax increase, and I beg of you to consider what this is going to do to the residents of Tarrant County. This is just more than we can bear. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Mr. Larry McFarland? Oh.
Thank you. I'd like to say a few words about the proposed tax rate. I urge you to vote against the proposed tax rate. I urge you to support the no new revenue tax rate of $120,682. This is going to provide you a whole lot much more money than last year, even as you continue to see declining student enrollment, which is kind of scary. Keeping the tuition rate stagnant while increasing the burden on taxpayers seems, well, misplaced. Those who use the services should pay for the service. So tuition rates should, I don't know, increase in lockstep with maybe inflation. I don't know, something like that. I mean, really, it's great marketing to say, we haven't raised our tuition rates in years. People love to hear that stuff. But you know, that either means that the employees are being paid less or the taxpayers are paying more. And I think we all know how that works out. A much more appropriate statement would be, you know, we haven't raised our revenue requirement in years. That would be much more powerful. And that's what Tarrant County should be saying. The current tuition rate of $64 an hour could be raised to match the Dallas County Community College of, I think it's $79 an hour. And bam, just like that, you got $12 million more dollars. Pretty easy. Now, I'm not really sure about the price elasticity of community college tuition, but I'm betting if you raise the tuition rates, you're not going to have a whole lot more people leave than what you've already done. So you might want to consider that. I mean, especially when you have a geographic monopoly. Because are these guys going to pick up and drive 30 miles to go to school? Well, they might, probably not. And also on the spending side of it, let's think about that for a second. It's really difficult to justify a couple hundred new employees. Yikes. A couple hundred new employees when your student population is decreasing. I mean, that just seems ludicrous, but that's what it looks like we're doing. I don't know. I mean, they say if you see something, say something. And that's what's going on here. People see something, so they're saying something. Because if you don't say something, we're going to end up with something like, I don't know, Detroit. I think we all know how that worked. Or heck, what if somebody had not said anything about, you know, Larry Nassar? Where would we be now? So we're saying something because we see something. In summary, let me urge you to vote against the proposed tax rate.
Thank you, Mr. McFarland. Mr. George Dodson? Yes.
It's my pleasure to come before you tonight to share some details about the tax rate. As a current Colleyville City Councilman and long-term executive in IBM Corporation, I understand budgets and have focused on making them as efficient as possible. At the City Council, I've been very focused on helping increase efficiency in the city operations, and as a result, the city Council has been able to adopt the no new tax rate for 5 years. I'm here to ask the TCC Board of Directors to consider similar achievements by focusing on innovative ways to manage the TCC operations as efficiently as possible. And I didn't realize that you were adding 200 new employees. I know that COVID has brought more TCC students online, and I wonder how much savings came about when the college campuses were closed. I didn't see anything in the budget talking about that. I'm also aware that the overall enrollment is not increasing, and finally, I see the college has received at least 3 large grants dealing with COVID that must have saved money for the college. Are you trustees aware of the savings from those factors, and are the savings incorporated in the 2023 budget? Has your TCC management brought forward savings that are shown in the tax rate? I don't see them. I see increases in the M&O of at least $6 million from taxes and $12 million overall income in Fund 10. Why aren't reserves being used to supplement taxes? In addition, the resolution for item 5E indicates that the no new tax rate for college is 12 cents, as has been mentioned, 12.0682. So why don't you reduce the M&O rate another 9/10 of a cent to reach the no new tax revenue rate? By not reducing that rate, you're still adding more money, and by not reducing it, you're adding at least 10%, maybe 15% taxes to Tarrant County residents. It bothers me that taxing entities tout that they're holding the same tax rate, implying the taxes are the same, which is an absolute lie. I appreciate the effort that Shannon Wood has made in asking the board to reduce the TC tax rate, and I hope other trustees will take their responsibilities more seriously and vote to reduce the tax rate to the 10.1, the M&O tax rate to 10.1682, making the total rate 12.0682. This will help every citizen in Tarrant County. And I'm also aware that several other community colleges in Texas are reducing their tax rates significantly, some as much as double digits. I wonder why TCC can't do this also. If there's anything that I can do to provide advice on efficiency, I would be glad to provide my services for free. I thank you for your service, and I hope I can come back next year to see improved efficiency in the college's operation and a no new tax rate for next year also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Tammy Nakamura.
Thank you, trustees, for the opportunity to speak on the proposed tax rate for Tarrant County College today. My name is Tammy Nakamura, and I am a former Colleyville City Councilman, and currently I have the pleasure of serving on the Grapevine-Colleyville ISD Board of Trustees. I first want to say that I have been in your position before, making hard decisions on property taxes that will directly affect every homeowner and business owner in your jurisdiction. These decisions either leave more hard-earned money in the pockets of the taxpayers that have earned them, or these decisions take more of those dollars away. The stakes are high for the taxpayers, and I am here tonight on their behalf. When I was on the Colleyville City Council, we lowered the effective tax rate for residents. Now I am proud to say that we on the GCISD board are proposing to vote for a second, even larger decrease in property taxes. We made the decision to leave that money with the taxpayers for their families, for their kids, for whatever reason they want. It's theirs, and they should keep more of it. What is being discussed here tonight will take away money from those same people at a time that they can least afford it. I want to be clear that by maintaining the 2022 tax rate, you are raising taxes. There is no other way to put it. Property values have gone down, and accordingly, the rate should go down. Under the proposed rate, TCC stands to raise $35 million more this year. With inflation raging and an ailing economy, the choice to maintain the 2022 rate and take more money from Tarrant County residents is simply wrong. With TCC attendance down and a larger percentage of students taking online courses than ever, I believe that the board should examine its current infrastructure and expenses and determine whether they continue to best serve your mission. I am thankful for Trustee Wood, who is opposed to this measure, and I ask for the trustees in support to reconsider. The taxpayers do not deserve less money in their pockets at a time when the basic cost of living is more expensive than ever. Please vote no. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Kenya Alla?
Good evening. My name's Kenya Alu. That's okay. I know it's a weird one. I am a taxpayer in Fort Worth. I actually live in Fort Worth, North Fort Worth, and I want you to please hear me. We're facing so much inflation. I mean, I'm going to echo the same thing everybody else has said. Tarrant County families are struggling. Property owners and, in consequence, renters are already paying more every month in their mortgages or rent because of inflated home values. TCC is already getting more money just based on the fact that our home values are higher. And to think that it's okay to use residents for even more money is completely out of touch. Budget cuts in a household are common for families who acquire new expenses. And this is what TCC needs to do, is cut the budget. If you need more money, you cut the budget. We are tired of being the unlimited bank account for the government, and it's very disheartening to hear that you would even consider hiring and spending more when enrollment's down. I urge you to vote no on the proposed new tax rate, and the board should be voting to decrease the rate, actually, not increase it. You have the opportunity tonight to be heroes for your community, and you also have the opportunity to be a villain, and it's your choice, and the choice is in your vote. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you. Ms. Rosalie Escobedo?
Hi, I'm Rosalie Escobedo. I'm going to have a very short and brief statement because we're having to do a lot more with less time these days, right? So my name's Rosalie Escobedo. I live in the North Euless area of Tarrant County. I'm opposed to the tax increases for the following reasons. Citizens of Tarrant County are being riddled with inflation. We're living through a 40-year inflationary high. Even personally this year, with a pay rate increase, the inflation rate has gobbled up that increase, and I'm still losing money year over year. That's pretty incredible. And I'm one of the lucky ones. So you can only imagine what the rest of the citizenry of, Tarrant County is having to operate with. So many citizens are losing fiscally right now. Any additional hindrances by this board will prove intolerable. It's really reaching a breaking point for us. Even if the rate stays the same, the appraisals went up, so we will pay more money. There's a lot of building and different things that are going on in this area. I'm in favor of the no new revenue rate. This will still bring in $12 million. The old rate will bring in an extra $23 million on top of the $12 million, equating to $35 million year over year. And as we know with government, we rarely go backwards, we go forward. And that's not something with what's happening in the economy right now that is going to look very good from a PR standpoint. So in short, we don't need to spend this much more money. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Escobedo. Mr. Al Ebert, I'm sorry.
Ebert was a good guess. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a member of the True Texas Project. We believe in holding our public officials accountable, but I'm here speaking for myself as a homeowner in Burleson. I believe in 2021 we paid an increase of 12% on our taxes to the TCC. My assessed value of our home went up 11% this year. My cost of living increase from my employer was frankly an insult. I've had to delay my retirement because of these conditions, economic conditions. I'm hoping that at some point we get smart in Texas and have a consumption tax so that we can individually control what we have to pay out. But right now it's in your hands. And I urge you to vote no on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Joe Palmer?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Joe Palmer, I'm in District 7. The great economist Milton Friedman talks about the 4 ways you can spend money. You can spend your own money on yourself. You can spend your own money on somebody else. You can spend somebody else's money on yourself. Or you can spend other people's money on other people. And that's what we do in local government and at the state level and the federal level, for that matter. And it came to mind that I read that some time ago whenever I heard people commenting that you've hired 200 people during the pandemic, despite the fact that attendance is down, despite the fact that the campuses were closed for such a long period of time. The no new revenue rate, I'm going to add my request for that. I would strongly ask that you, I would like a motion and a second and discussion and a vote on the no new revenue rate. And as was said, that is going to yield you more revenue than you got last year. My property taxes are sky high. My aunt also lives in Fort Worth. My aunt has to pay almost the same amount of money every year in property taxes that my grandparents paid for the house in total in the 60s. Some of it's inflation, some of it's not. $6,000 a year to live in a wood-siding 3-bedroom home. It's outrageous. And we can't look to the legislature to do anything about it. The legislature tells us to come and appeal to you people. And so that's why we're here. $23 million more if you adopt this rate. I did a little bit of math here. So according to TAD, the average appraisal increase in Tarrant County was 20%. So a $200,000 home taxed at 13 cents, their bill last year was $260 for Tarrant County College. Increasing it by 20%, which is the average in Tarrant County according to TAD, $240,000 home at the same rate, they will now pay $312, $260 to $312. Conversely, if you adopt the 12 cents, the no new revenue rate, it puts it at $288. So it's in line with the statements that have been made before me, is that you're still going to get more money from people in the county. If you dropped it to 11 cents, you're still getting $4 more from that family. These are families we're talking about. We've got to cut the tax rate. I can't pay anymore. It's unsustainable. I know people in academia talk about sustainability all the time. But when the conversation turns to taxes and the effect on people financially, why does that term go away? Why does it disappear? We've got to cut taxes. I'm asking you very strongly, adopt the no new revenue rate or lower. And one more thing, this is a bit of housekeeping. Ms. Alanis said that you're required to post the language, this will increase revenue. This will increase revenue. There's no semantics about it. There's no tricks and smokescreen and shuck and jive here. It is going to increase tax revenue, and you happen to be required to post it. So it is going to increase tax revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel J. Bennett?
Point of order and clarification prior to me beginning to speak. I did sign up for public comments, so I will not be deterred or limited in my public comment section. If I speak right now, I need a judgment of the chair. Not a problem.
Yes, Mr. Bennett, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your...
Boy, I tell you, these people here are awesome. I want to talk about what the state is not doing, because it was a comment made, I believe, from this side of the table about the decrease in state contributions to your budget. And a statement was put out there, 78%, 76%. Well, then Ms. Wood spoke up and somewhat schooled the board, which I do appreciate her speaking up on a timely fashion. It said the state provides 29% as of 2018, and the tuition was 21%, and then taxes were 50%. Well, as the state funding has gone down, tuition has stayed steady, and now we're shouldering more of the burden. So there is a state component here that's not been offset. But someone threw out the idea that they were funding 78%. I was stunned when I heard that number because it was so far off. I want to talk about also the disadvantaged families. That also was brought up, and I believe by our interim chancellor. You stated that 55% of all the people who are graduating come from disadvantaged families. And that's a service we need to provide. But you also stated they become taxpayers. Well, I imagine they were taxpayers before they started at the school. So I was a little bit distressed by that comment. And then, but the thing, think about when you raise this tax rate. These disadvantaged families who may be thinking of coming to the school, now they're having to pay more to you if their child does want to come to the college. So of those that graduated, 55%, think of ones that haven't participated yet and how we're affecting those people. If you have 55% of your student body graduating, there's 55% of the populace out in Tarrant County you're harming by not adopting the no new revenue tax rate. Also, Mr. Greenhill, I know you're up for re-election in May. So is Mr. Hornsby. Mr. Greenhill's district is Watauga, North Richland Hills, Haltom City, and West Fort Worth, which I'm a member of West Fort Worth. And Mr. Hornsby, you're South Arlington and Mansfield District 5. I strongly urge both of you to do what was requested earlier to make a motion to adopt a no new revenue tax rate and then have a discussion. And if it fails, let it fail. That way we know where everyone stands on this board. Because in May, we have to make decisions. Thank you both.
Thank you. Mr. Richard Sutterfield. Mr. Richard Sutterfield.
Good evening.
Good
My name is
evening.
Richard Sutterfield. I live in Arlington. I'm a retired public school educator. I now, for some reason, have to work outside in the workforce. I am substitute teaching. And let me tell you, it's good money, but today was one of the worst days I've ever had. So I'm doing that because we have to have the money. Inflation, our taxes. I've spoke to the Texas Appraisal District. I am here tonight. I've written letters. I've urged our legislators, so I'm not leaving them out, because I think we were promised something about property tax reform before, and I don't know when that's happened. So as a Tarrant County resident, I implore you, please consider this no new revenue. You will get the money. You'll have more money for less students who are coming in. So I'm not as eloquent speaking, but I have something on my heart, and I'm trying to get it out to you. We need your help. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. David Lowe.
I'm David Lowe, and I live in North Richland Hills. And everybody here tonight so far has spoken very eloquently. I'm going to get straight to the point. This board represents not just students. It represents all taxpayers. You were elected to serve us. Citizens across Tarrant County are hurting because of rising inflation, and you all know that. What is your response? Let's raise property taxes. Last year, TCCD got over $264 million in taxes and a total revenue of $384 million. When is enough enough? This year, I knocked on 9,000 doors. A voter's top concern by far was property taxes. It's really easy to spend other people's money. We shouldn't even be having this meeting. You owe it to those who elected you to find ways to cut taxes, not increase them. You're taking advantage of taxpayers because the law allows it. I will finish with this. If you vote yes, I will work hard to replace each and every one of you.
Mr. Robert Baker? Is it Baker? Bucher, I'm sorry. Thank you.
My name is Robert Bucher, and I live in North Fort Worth. Tarrant County wants to keep the tax rate same heading into the next fiscal year, but homeowners will pay more to fund a $916 million budget in 2023. The owner of a $350,000 home would pay $802 in county taxes under the proposed tax rate of 22.9 cents per 100 of property tax valuation. Residential accounts increased by an average of 14.6%. With the average homestead value in Tarrant County increased by 12% from $238,312 to $267,360 from 21 to 22 with the same tax rate, the average homeowner will pay $66.52 more in county taxes on their coming bill. 23.4 per 100 valuation remains unchanged from last year, also along with Fort Worth ISD tax rate of 1.34 per 100. The average gross yearly salary for the South Side area, which is the low poverty area, is $30,000, which by economy is considered under poverty. With the Tarrant County citizens still recovering from the aftermath of COVID lockdowns, with colleges taking American Rescue Plan Act money and COVID funds, now is not the time to squeeze more out of our people. I ask the board to vote no against this for considering the people of Tarrant County.
Thank you. Mr. John Lynn?
Thank you. John Lynn, North Richland Hills. I came here for two reasons. One is to respectfully request you vote against the tax increase. The second was a problem I have with the current board of the directors of the Tarrant County Appraisal District. I was one of the several hundred people out in the sun for 3 hours because they couldn't move us to a bigger venue or anyway, it was that was uncomfortable. But what bothers me even more is the lack of accountability for the what I believe is some misconduct by Mr. Armstrong and Mr. Law, the chief appraiser and the chief residential appraiser, in conducting essentially sending a letter to the state requesting that Chandler Couch be removed or be not allowed to continue in his role helping people with appraisals. That's about all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lynn. Mr. Wes Bullock?
Mr. Bullock couldn't make it, but Mark Davis is here to speak in his favor, but speak on his behalf, but he wants to speak on public comment section, and there was confusion on my part on that.
Okay, he's not signed in here.
I understand.
Okay.
But we just try to take care of that. He had an issue, ma'am. I'm hoping you'll give some grace.
I don't have Mr. Davis, so. He did? Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go on to the next one. Daniel J. Bullock?
Bennett?
Bullock.
That's Wes Bullock.
There's a Daniel J. Bullock and a Wes Bullock.
I'm so dyslexic. I combined the two names.
Okay, it's okay.
Is this for public comments?
This is for the public hearing.
Well,
for the tax rate.
I already spoke on that.
Okay.
I decline.
Okay. All right. Charlotte Vandervoort, Miss Charlotte Vandervoort.
Hello, everybody. I am Charlotte Vandervoort. I am a homeowner in Burleson, the Tarrant County side of Burleson. And I came to speak to you today for two reasons. Much like the gentleman before me, I am opposed to increased taxes. Enrollment is down. You have increased employees in this pandemic. It doesn't make a lot of sense with the inflation and our outrageous appraisals right now. So vote no for any increase, and I would prefer a decrease. The second issue I'd like to talk about is I was also at that summer meeting at the TAD, and I, as a citizen, have never felt so disrespected in my entire adult life. I had to stand out in the sun for hours. We were not allowed to use the restroom. People were sweating. People were close to passing out. There were elderly people. There were ants. It was awful, and it was on purpose. It was not pleasant. And then when we get in, after hours of waiting, I felt really disrespected by the board. And I feel like the leadership of that board should be in question. There's a lot of stuff that seems to be going on at the TAD. There was some slap on the wrist punishments for some egregious behavior from TAD employees. And I would like for you guys to consider changing the leadership of TAD and removing Wildman. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vandervoort. I have a name here, Mr. Mike C. I'm sorry, I don't know what your last name is.
Hello.
Apologize, yes.
I'm Mike C., Fort Worth.
Thank you.
These are some of my concerns and suggestions. What I deem is the qualities that needed to be a trustee. Number one, you must be able to ensure that a proper contract is negotiated with vendors and haggle for the best deal. You need to act like it's literally your money. You must be prepared to make cuts in bloated administration that are not worth the money we are forced to pay. Let me suggest the Office of Equity and Inclusion as a start. It is wasteful and produces nothing beneficial. What the taxpayer desires is equality of opportunity, not the scam that is equity. 3, understand the tax revenue that TCC receives. It is the taxpayer's money and the renter that has to pay higher rent because of more spending. You must respect that. You must be financially responsible and will listen to the pleas of the taxpayers who literally can't afford anymore. You must have true Texan values. With what I have some questions and concerns with the following are as follows. On consent agenda A, B, and C is over $1.5 million in new IT equipment. Is that really necessary? You have to be realistic. Do you see the state of our economics right now? We have temporarily just sidestepped a major blow to our economic existence today. Now is not the time for shiny new objects. On consent agenda 5C, on a facility lease agreement with Fort Worth Independent School District for a total of over $1 million, who do you think is paying for that essentially? It's the taxpayer, the homeowner, and a renter that has to pay higher rent. Due to this kind of spending, this deal stinks if you ask me. It reeks of a perpetual tax dollar grab. Also, who would be paying for the maintenance? This property should not be perpetually on the taxpayers' backs. I believe it should be sold outright and not rented off of the taxpayers' backs, homeowners and renters as well. On consent agenda 5D, a pay increase application to all the way up to pay grade 10. If you can find it in your budget without tax increases, I'm all for it.
Thank you. Mark Davis, Mr. Mark Davis?
You called Mark Davis?
Yes.
I think, are you on the open public?
Public hearing.
The public hearing,
Yes.
So you're not specifically on the budget, or I'm a little confused where we are.
We're just doing public hearing comments.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I came here on the TAD board issue, and I had been involved in promoting some candidates for the last election, and the main one I was promoting didn't make it. But in that, I learned all about what was going on at the TAD board and was quite alarmed. And then the first big meeting before all these people came that's been talked about, but about a month previously, they had a meeting with Mr. Crouch there, and that was filmed by a young man. And I watched that film 3 times. It was like hour and a half long or something. The first time I saw it, I thought, who is this woman up there that looks like she must have just gotten on the board? She looks lost. Turns out it was Miss Wildman. And as I watched her, later I found out who she was, and I was like, wow, this is a very unprofessional person. And then as the whole thing was adjudicated, and they came up and determined to, I don't know if you all know all of the details, but I assume you do. They put the lead man on maybe permanent leave, leave of absence, or they didn't determine how long. But then that was the head of the residential, Mr. Armstrong. Thank you very much. I knew it began with an A. And then we have Mr. Law, is it Lawless or Law, whatever? Yeah, it is whatever. He's the man over everything. And here's what I saw. Mr. Armstrong had written this complaint to the licensing board, and that was an attempt to get Mr. Crouch's license to practice real estate removed. This is a man who, for pro bono, has helped thousands of people with their taxes. And he makes a living. He supports his wife and young children as a real estate agent. And this guy over here is trying to get him fired. He's attacking his source of income, his source of business. And Mr. Law, is that his name? He had found out about it months before, and in an open meeting, he said he didn't. Oh, I never heard of this, or I just heard of this. Which there's a paper trail that he did know. And what he ended up getting was a 2 weeks reprimand, unpaid leave for 2 weeks. Well, biblically, if you're a false witness, the punishment is you get what you were trying to put on this guy. That's God's law. This man needs to be fired because he tried there's other malfeasance, but he tried to get this. He was part of a conspiracy to get this guy's license pulled so he would no longer be able to work. Tarrant County Appraisal District has been paying this man a lot of money for a long time, and there's a lot of shenanigans that have gone on. No time to get into that there, but I can tell you, in this one instance, it was very dramatic. And the Tarrant County Community College is not being well represented on that board. It's time for you all to withdraw your representation and get some people of integrity in there, not people that just have been on other boards and they're just, you're just kind of giving them another honorarium here. You need to this needs to be serious because the appraisal district has failed the citizens of Tarrant County, which I happen to be one. That's what I came here to speak on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay. Those are all the speakers?
No.
Okay. I don't have.
I know you don't have, but I have the right to speak at a public forum. It's a public forum. I have a right to speak.
Would you please state your name?
Leota Ritchie.
Leota Ritchie.
Leotaritchie.
Thank you, Ms. Ritchie.
You're welcome.
You have Mr. Gates will time just like he's timed everyone else.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I do not live in Tarrant County. I have a house that I inherited from my aunt in White Settlement. She bought that house brand new in 1950, and I inherited it, 624 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. My tenant started his 19th year with me. 19 years. I have never raised his rent. I will never raise his rent because he's never missed a month. Now, my husband worked for Tarrant County College for 21 years. Before that, he was in the Navy for 20 years. So you know we have a pretty good budget and retirement funds. However, because of the taxes that I have to pay on that rental house, I have to take the money out of our retirement fund, usually $2,000, $2,500 every year to pay taxes. And that affects our future. Because if I keep doing that, what we have set aside is going to be gone because of the taxes in Tarrant County. This is absolutely crazy. And I want to say, Chandler Crouch did help me a few times to lower my taxes. He's helped 90,000 people in 5 years, free of charge. And I'm one of them. I told him this year, I want to try it. I want to see. And boy, did I get a slap in the face. They had raised my property value to $112,000. This little bitty rental house, $112,000. Are you kidding me? They don't look at properties. They just assume, and we all know what assume spells, don't we? We're educated. You're educators, aren't you? You know what assume spells. They don't care. Tad just wants to get their money and run with it. Mr. Armstrong was put on TAD, and he was part of the White Settlement ISD, which is illegal and against their regulations. It took 6 months to get him off, and he finally got off. So he's angry because he had to get kicked off of that. And then he writes this letter about Chandler Crouch. How stupid is that? How stupid is that? Very stupid. That's my worst cuss word I can use, stupid. And he's a stupid idiot. That's the very worst I can say about that man. And Jeff Law, he could care less. And Miss Wildman, Mr. Barr, I hear you're the one who put her on the board. I'd strongly suggest you do your research to get rid of her. Because if you don't, we'll get rid of you. I will talk to every person in Tarrant County if I have to. Do not vote for you ever again. Because that's what I told the board when I met them in June. And I have it on TV. I was recorded on TV because they were stupid enough to keep these men. They need to get rid of them. They need to get rid of Miss Wildman. And if you don't do it, you are part and parcel of the way they act. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any others, Mr.
Yes.
Bracken?
I couldn't see you. I'm a business owner, so I want to speak. My name is Stephen Chaco, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, last name C-H-A-C-K-O. I'm a business owner. I own commercial real estate on Hemp Hill. I went through hardships in the last 2 years for COVID. My tenants are low income. Ladies and gentlemen of this college, you guys are supposed to prepare us for our students for the future, right? Where's the opportunities? We have none. Fort Worth is one of the most disadvantaged, economically valued areas in the United States. You guys know this. What's going on? The tax dollars you guys are using and raising, I looked at the ARP money. You got extra cash from the American Rescue Plan. Why do you need more money? We're getting destroyed out there. Commercial properties like mine are being absolutely taxed out the max. I will stand in front of the Tarrant County Board. I've done it every single year when they try to raise my property tax on my business. They're raising taxes on our water, and the city tax went up again. What's going on with this college? I need you guys to look into your souls and understand. Walk in our communities. Go south of Hemp Hill. Go see what people are suffering at. Go walk into Stop 6. Take this board over there. Do a meeting over there. Go into the worst, most hardest areas of economic value hardships that are happening right now. What are you guys doing? Are y'all providing opportunity, jobs within 3 or 4 months? Are we having any information technology boot camps? I don't see them. I've talked about this several times to the City of Fort Worth Economic Development. It's the same people that run it. They run it into the ground. You are the leadership of the cradle of education, which is knowledge and power. We need this knowledge and power in Fort Worth today. And as a business owner, I'm telling you, we have no opportunity. The minority community or marginalized minority community, the marginalized minority community are hit the worst without the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I think we've heard everyone. Just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening to exercise your voice, to speak at this public hearing. Unless there's no further speakers, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing. So moved by Mr. Greenhill. Second by Mr. Barr. Okay, thank you. I think we need to take a few minutes so that y'all can cut over to the regular board meeting. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take a few minutes recess. Thank you.